Put the $2,000 TV back on the shelf. The premium TV industry has been running the same con for the better part of a decade. Spend less, get garbage. Spend more, get quality. That equation used to be roughly true. In 2026, it is not. There are 4 televisions available right now for $500 or less that are stealing specific pieces of hardware from the $2,000 tier and delivering them at a price that makes the legacy brands genuinely uncomfortable. Not all of it, specific pieces. And knowing which piece matters for your living room is the difference between paying 4 times too much and walking out of the store having beaten the system. Today we are going through all 4, from the one with the most specific limitation to the one that requires a $30 fix to become something that should not legally exist at this price. If you have ever felt like the TV industry was charging you for a logo more than a panel, subscribe. You were right, and this channel proves it every week, starting at the bottom of the best. Number 4 is the Hisense U65QF, and the specific achievement this television makes at its price point is one that almost nobody believed was possible in the sub-$500 tier 18 months ago. PCMag testing confirmed the U65QF is the first budget television to cross the 1,000 night barrier using genuine mini-LED hardware. Not a marketing claim, a measured result. 1,000 nits means HDR content, the highlights in a sunset scene, the glare of headlights in a dark street, the sparkle of water in a nature documentary arrives with the physical punch that the format was designed to deliver. At this price, that is not supposed to exist. For slow cinematic content, static scenes, and anything where the camera is not in constant rapid motion, the U65QF performs in a category that has no business being this cheap. You put on a film with controlled, deliberate cinematography and the picture competes with televisions that cost 3 times as much. The contrast between a bright highlight and the dark area beside it has depth and structure that budget panels almost never produce. This is not a flattering approximation of good contrast, it is the actual thing. The Truva Atta arrives the moment the content speeds up. Hisense invested the hardware budget in the panel and cut the processing chip to compensate. When a football launches across the frame at full speed, or a fast action sequence demands rapid motion rendering, the processor cannot keep up. The ball smears, fast pans produce a visible judder. The limitation is consistent and predictable. If your primary viewing is movies, slow dramas, and casual streaming, the U65QF is a genuine robbery of the pricing structure. If live sports are your main event, this processor will frustrate you before the first quarter ends. Subscribe if you want this breakdown every week before you spend serious money on anything with a screen. Number 3 is the TCLQ-M6K, and this television was built for exactly one type of person. The console or PC gamer who cannot justify spending $1,200 on a gaming monitor but refuses to play at 60 Hz on an old panel. TCL put a native 144Hz refresh rate and HDMI 2.1 connectivity into a television that costs less than some people spend on a graphics card. At 144 Hz, fast game environments feel different in a way that is immediately noticeable even to people who have never experienced it before. The response feels tighter, fast movement is cleaner, enemy positions in a fast-paced shooter are visible for a fraction of a second longer than they are on a 60 Hz display, and at a competitive level, that fraction of a second is the entire game. Competitive play at this frame rate on a $500 screen is genuinely unfair to anyone still playing on a standard 60 Hz display. The Truva Atta is the audio. TCL allocated essentially no budget to the speaker system. The built-in speakers rattle the chassis during anything with significant bass. An explosion, a subwoofer-heavy soundtrack, any action sequence with real audio weight. The TV literally vibrates. It is not subtle, and it is not ignorable once you have heard it. The fix is a $100 soundbar purchased with the money you saved by not spending $1,200 on a monitor, which still leaves you $800 ahead. The ear picture earns its price, the audio does not. Number 2 is the Roku Plus Series QLED, and this television solves a problem that nobody talks about loudly enough. The smart TV interface problem. The budget TV market is littered with panels attached to operating systems that freeze, crash, lag, and require hard reboots just to open a streaming app. It is one of the most consistent and maddening failure points in the entire consumer electronics category. People buy a budget television to save money and then spend 2 years fighting the software that came with it. The frustration is not random. It is a predictable outcome of manufacturers attaching underpowered processors to feature-heavy operating systems and calling the result a smart TV. The Roku Plus skips that entirely. Roku's operating system is the most consistently reliable smart TV platform available at any price. It does not freeze. It does not crash midstream. Apps load without the 30-second loading ritual that plagues budget SmartCast and Fire TV implementations. Tom's Guide expert testing validated the Roku Plus as the top value pick in its price bracket, specifically because of platform reliability. The QLED color filter adds genuine vibrancy to the picture that makes the interface feel premium beyond what the hardware cost would suggest. Colors are punchy without being oversaturated. News broadcasts look clean. Streaming content arrives with the warmth and depth the source material intended. A person on a home theater forum described buying the Roku Plus for their mother after years of fielding tech support calls about her freezing television. They reported back 3 months later that they had not received a single call. Their mother had learned to navigate streaming on her own because the interface was straightforward enough that it did not require assistance. She had even started discovering new shows without being prompted. That is not a minor achievement in the budget TV category. That is the entire value proposition. The Truva Atta is a hard ceiling for gamers. The Roku Plus is strictly a 60Hz panel with no HDMI 2.1. Next-generation console features, high frame rate gaming, variable refresh rate technology are all locked out. If you own a modern gaming console and plan to use it with this television, you will be unable to access the frame rate capabilities the console was designed to deliver. For every other use case, the Roku Plus is the most dependable screen in its price bracket. And now, the one that requires a single purchase to become something that should not exist at this price. The Vizio M-Series Quantum X. Vizio built a quantum dot panel with a native 120Hz refresh rate. Hardware capable of 240Hz at 1080p for gaming, and picture performance that Tom's Guide testing places in direct competition with televisions at 4 times the cost. The color volume, the HDR delivery, the contrast structure at this price point is a hardware achievement that the major premium brands would prefer you never discover. It represents exactly the kind of value that makes a marketing executive at Sony or Samsung genuinely nervous. The colors are saturated in a way that holds up under real content rather than just demo loops. Skin tones look natural. Sports broadcasts have the vibrance they are supposed to have. Darkroom films have contrast that has no right to exist at this price. Ethan bought the Vizio M-Series Quantum X, bypassed the SmartCast system with a streaming device he taped to the back of the panel, and set it up next to a colleague's $2,000 Sony at a Super Bowl party. 2 people spent the first 10 minutes of the game assuming Ethan's television was the Sony. He let them believe it until halftime. The picture quality that $2,000 buys you and the picture quality that $500 plus a $30 streaming stick buys you are, in specific measurable ways, the same picture quality. The Truva Atta is real, and it is the reason this price exists. Vizio's SmartCast operating system is one of the worst interfaces in consumer electronics. It is slow, ad-saturated, prone to crashing, and treating it as your primary smart TV interface will make you dislike a television that deserves significantly better. The home screen pushes promoted content at you before you can get to your apps. Menu navigation requires more button presses than any reasonable person should accept. Updates install at inconvenient moments and occasionally leave the system slower than it was before. The solution costs $30 and takes 5 minutes. Buy any streaming stick, connect it to an HDMI port, set the television to launch that input by default, and never open SmartCast again. The panel performs, the software does not. Separate them and you win. Subscribe and stay close because next week we are covering curved TVs, a category that has been running a specific and effective manipulation on buyers for years. The curved screen looks impressive in a store. What it does in an actual living room is a different conversation, and the specific models that use the curve to hide compromised hardware are not the ones you expect. We will see you there.